Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm a passionate photographer and a bit of a tech enthusiast. Today, I want to talk about something that I think many of us in the photography world grapple with: gear acquisition syndrome, or GAS. You know what I'm talking about, right? That constant itch to buy the latest and greatest camera or lens, thinking it's going to revolutionize our photography. I remember when I first started getting serious about photography, I was shooting with a basic DSLR, and I couldn't help but feel that if I just had that new mirrorless model, my photos would magically get better. Spoiler alert, it's not that simple. So, what exactly is gear acquisition syndrome? Well, it's this ongoing desire to buy more and better photography equipment, often driven by some pretty interesting psychological factors. It's something that can affect both newbies and seasoned pros alike. And let's be honest, with the way camera companies are constantly pushing out new models, it's no wonder we get caught up in this cycle. In today's episode, we're diving deep into the world of GAS. We'll look at why it happens, how it affects our creativity and finances, and most importantly, how we can overcome it. Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, understanding GAS can help you make better decisions about your photography gear and focus on what truly matters: creating amazing photos. So, grab a cup of coffee and let's get into it. Alright, let's dive into understanding gear acquisition syndrome, or GAS. It's a term that's thrown around a lot in photography circles, but what does it really mean? And why does it seem to be a common theme among us photographers? Marketing influence. First up, let's talk about marketing. Camera companies are brilliant at marketing, aren't they? Every year, there are new models with features that promise to be game changers. They tap into our desire for the latest technology. I mean, who doesn't want to shoot at a gazillion frames per second or have the highest megapixel count? But here's the thing. While these advancements are incredible, they often lead us to believe that our current gear is inadequate. I've fallen for this trap more times than I care to admit. I remember eyeing a new camera model right after buying what I thought was my dream camera. Peer pressure and comparison. Then, there's the world of social media and online forums. It's easy to get caught up in what others are using. You see a stunning photo on Instagram, and suddenly you're thinking, if only I had that lens, I could take photos like that too. But let's be real. It's not just about the gear, it's about skill, understanding of light, composition, and so much more. Yet, that feeling of needing to keep up with our peers can be a powerful motivator to acquire new gear. Perfectionism and technological enthusiasm. Many of us photographers, myself included, have a bit of a perfectionist streak. We want to capture the best possible image, and sometimes we convince ourselves that the only way to do that is with the best possible gear. And let's not forget the excitement of new technology. It's thrilling to get your hands on the latest gadget, and for those of us who love tech, this can be a significant driving force behind GAS. Belief in equipment over skill. This might be the biggest factor, the belief that better gear equals better photos. It's an easy trap to fall into. We think that a new camera or a new lens will be the magic solution to our photographic challenges. But the truth is, while good gear can help, it's not a substitute for skill, practice, and creativity. I've seen incredible photos taken with smartphones and entry-level cameras that outshine those taken with top-of-the-line equipment. Now, I'm not saying that gear isn't important. It is. There are legitimate reasons to upgrade or acquire new equipment, but it's crucial to understand why you're doing it. Is it because you genuinely need a feature that your current gear doesn't offer? Or is it because you've been caught up in the hype of new technology and marketing? Understanding these factors can help us recognize when GAS is influencing our decisions. It's about finding that balance, being excited about new technology while staying grounded in the reality of what we actually need to improve our photography. In the next part, we'll dive into the impacts of GAS, both the good and the bad, and trust me, there's a lot to unpack there. So, stay tuned, and let's continue this journey of understanding gear acquisition syndrome together. Now that we've got a better understanding of what drives gear acquisition syndrome, let's delve into how it impacts us photographers. There's the financial aspect, of course, but it goes deeper, affecting our creativity and even our enjoyment of photography. Financial strain. Let's start with the obvious, the financial impact. Photography isn't a cheap hobby, and it's even more expensive as a profession. High-quality lenses, cameras, lighting equipment. The costs add up quickly. When you're constantly chasing the latest gear, you can find yourself spending far more than you planned or can realistically afford. I've been there, saving up for a lens that I was convinced I needed, only to find out later that it didn't significantly improve my photography. It's important to consider whether an upgrade is really worth the investment. Sometimes, the marginal improvements in image quality or functionality don't justify the hefty price tag. Creative stagnation. This brings me to my next point, creative stagnation. There's a risk that, in focusing so much on gear, we neglect the development of our skills and creativity. Photography is an art form, and like any art, it requires practice, experimentation, and learning. If we spend all our time researching and acquiring new gear, when are we actually taking photos and honing our craft? I've seen photographers produce stunning work with outdated equipment, and others struggle to find their creative voice despite having the latest and greatest gear. The lesson here? Your creativity and vision are what truly make your photographs stand out, not just the equipment in your hands. Reduced enjoyment. Finally, let's talk about enjoyment. For most of us, photography started as a passion, a way to express ourselves and capture the world around us. But when we get too caught up in acquiring gear, that joy can start to fade. It becomes more about having the best equipment, rather than enjoying the process of creating something beautiful. I remember a time when I was more excited about unboxing a new camera than actually going out and taking photos with it. That was a wake-up call. Photography should be fulfilling and fun, not a constant race to buy the latest gear. So, what's the other side of this argument? Yes, there are times when upgrading your gear is beneficial and even necessary. Advances in technology have opened up new possibilities in photography, and in some cases, new equipment can significantly improve your work. For instance, if you're getting into wildlife photography, a camera with a fast autofocus system and a lens with a long reach are essential. Or, if you're shooting in low-light conditions frequently, a camera with good high ISO performance can be a game changer. It's all about balance. Knowing when an upgrade will genuinely enhance your photography and when it's just a case of gas can save you money and help you focus on what really matters, growing as a photographer and enjoying the journey. In the next section, we'll explore strategies to overcome gas. I'll share some tips and tricks that have helped me and other photographers stay focused on our art, rather than getting lost in the endless cycle of gear acquisition. So stick around, and let's learn how to beat gear acquisition syndrome together. Having talked about the impact of gear acquisition syndrome, it's time to tackle the big question: how do we overcome it? Let's dive into some strategies that can help us maintain a healthy relationship with our photography gear. Focus on skill development. The first and perhaps most important strategy is to focus on skill development. Remember, a great photographer can make stunning images with any gear. Challenge yourself to learn new techniques, experiment with different styles, and push the limits of your current equipment. Try setting a project for yourself, like a photo-a-day challenge, or delve into a new genre of photography. These exercises can reignite your passion for photography and shift your focus from gear to artistry. Set clear goals and limitations. Setting clear goals and limitations can also be incredibly helpful. Ask yourself, what do I want to achieve with my photography? And do I really need new gear to reach these goals? If you do decide an upgrade is necessary, set a budget and stick to it. This approach not only keeps your finances in check, but also encourages you to think critically about what equipment you truly need. Appreciate current gear. Next, let's talk about appreciating the gear you already have. Every piece of equipment has its unique strengths and quirks. Spend time getting to know your current gear inside and out. Mastering the tools you have can be incredibly rewarding and often leads to a deeper understanding of photography. Try limiting yourself to one camera or lens for a period. You'll be amazed at the creativity that comes from working within constraints. Seek community support. Community support is another key factor. Engage with photography communities that focus on skill development and creative challenges. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to create, not just consume. Online forums, social media groups, or local photography clubs can be great spaces to share experiences and get motivated to use what you have more creatively. Mindfulness and reflection. Finally, practice mindfulness and reflection in your photography journey. Take a moment to reflect on why you enjoy photography. Is it the thrill of capturing a moment, the joy of creating something beautiful, or the satisfaction of telling a story through your lens? When you remind yourself of why you started photography in the first place, it becomes easier to see beyond the gear and focus on the essence of your passion. Personal experiences in overcoming gas. I want to share some of my own experiences in overcoming gas. There was a time when I was constantly looking at new cameras and lenses, thinking they would make my work better. But over time, I realized that it wasn't the gear that was holding me back. It was my approach to photography. I started setting myself creative challenges, like shooting with a single prime lens for a month, or exploring different lighting techniques with my existing equipment. These challenges not only improved my skills, but also made me appreciate the versatility and capabilities of the gear I already owned. What these stories teach us is that overcoming gas is not just about resisting the urge to buy new gear. It's about changing our mindset and approach to photography. Whether it's embracing limitations, focusing on technical mastery, engaging in teaching, or building a community, there are many paths to overcoming the lure of new equipment. Each of these photographers found a way to redirect their energy and passion towards the art of photography, reminding us that at the end of the day, it's not the camera that makes the photographer. It's the vision, skill, and creativity. As we wrap up this section, I hope these stories inspire you to look beyond gear and focus on what truly matters in photography. Remember, it's not about what you have, it's about what you do with it. In the next and final section, we'll conclude with some personal reflections and a summary of all the key points we've discussed. So stay tuned, and let's bring this journey to a close together. Conclusion on overcoming gas. In conclusion, overcoming gear acquisition syndrome is about finding a balance. It's about recognizing the difference between want and need, focusing on skill development, and remembering why we fell in love with photography in the first place. It's a journey, and it's okay to occasionally treat yourself to new gear, but always with the understanding of how it fits into your overall goals as a photographer. In the next section, we'll look at some case studies and examples of photographers who have successfully overcome gas and how they did it. Their stories are sure to inspire and offer practical insights into how we can all navigate this common challenge.